All right. Greetings and Hotep. All right, so I just did a well check on baby daddy Abraham.Jones. Today is January the 5th of 2023. I called about 6:30, right? I called because he had started back coming around, and it looked like things were looking good for Abby and I as far as having dad involved, and he was coming to our house, right? So then all of a sudden he stopped coming around. So I'm like, okay, let me go see what's going on with him. I go over to his mom's house because he lived with his mom, and the first time she said he's sick. I said, okay, and I left. The time after that, I said, okay, well, can he come out? Let me talk to him. She said, no, he's not coming out. He's sick. And I said, okay, can I come in? She said, no. So I wrote a note that had an empty bottle of Jinx remover. And I said, my family does voodoo. You really need to get yourself a spiritual bath. Save yourself. Because I thought maybe there was some kind of negative effects from some kind of black magic. There's a lot of people that go to church and they do black magic in their little, quiet closets. So the next time I came, and of course every time I came I expected some cash. He doesn't pay me regular child support. I might get $100 here. I used to get $200 there, but that's been years ago. So now the third time I came, she said, if you come here again, I'm going to call the police on you. Now, that's been almost a year ago, okay? Because I put the incident in my Spell Work Recovery Group newsletter dated February 22nd, 2022. And I didn't have much room, or I would have told the part about her threatening to call the police on me. So today, I broke my inverter, and we used that to charge the phone. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to use my last $8 to get us dinner tonight. So I said, let me go over here and see if he's got some money. He's got to have $20 or $40, right? As I get ready to step into the fence, it's like the spirit of caution said, hey, fool. If she told you not to come over here anymore and she was going to call the police on you, and he lives with his mom, she is the one with the power, not him. So I started praying. I cast the burden as I was taught to do in the book, The Game of Life. It says cast the burden. So I cast the burden over to God, and I went free, and I just kept listening to my music. And I kept hearing, call 911, call 911, call 911. So I called 911. She said, you have to call the non-emergency number. I said, can you do a well check? I said, I don't have a phone with service. I have this phone, which is basically for recording things, but I don't have a service plan. Can you please help me? She said, yes, I'll send some people out to do a well check. So when they got there, the guy who told me his name is J. Williams, and I asked what the J was. He said it means Jason. He's a fair-skinned black guy, about 6 feet tall. He came with a Caucasian, and then the opposite direction, another Tampa TPD truck pulled up. A Caucasian lady and a Caucasian male came out, and as I was explaining to him, the gate is not locked. It's just they twisted the, little latch key, the link chain across it, right? So as we were standing there, another car drove up, and I think that was his son. He has a son that's like 37 and a daughter that is about 35, something like that. And then my daughter is 12. So he came up, they said something to him. She asked me to stand back, in the other person's yard. I did as she requested. They went over to the truck, shined their light and everything. J. Williams said, well, ma'am, it's locked and I can't do anything. I said, well, I called and asked them to do a well check. How do you do a well check? Can you do a well check? He said yes, and then he started to do more. So I think that was his son, went and knocked on the door. Somebody opened the door. They went in there. It was all dark, so I'm standing out in the neighbor's yard. They come back. They tell me, yeah, he's up there. Well, the Caucasian lady comes to me and says, okay, well, he's okay. Is there anything else you need? I said, yeah. Did you ask him if he has any money? And she says, with an attitude, mind you, well, I thought you said you just wanted to make sure he was okay. And I'm looking at her like, oh, these privileged Caucasians, they just don't understand. And I said, well, no, I asked from the beginning if you could see if he's okay. The reason I came over here is because I am in distress and I need cash. So I was walking down the street and I was just not settled in my soul. And I went back. I said, let me ask you a question. How did you authenticate who he was? And Jay Williams, the one that was identified as Jay Williams, was like, what do you mean? I said, how do you know he is who he say he is? What did he look like? Is he your height? Is he, like really skinny, bag of bones? What does he look like? And he's like, and now he gets where I'm going. So I'm going to say he tells me the lie that I have a picture of him and I, looked at the picture. He never went back over there to that car to pull up no picture. But, he's a public servant and they've got to be right. That's the energy and the temperament. And especially if he pulled me up. I gave him my complete name, Aileen Dorothea Atkins, 11/24/1970. So when he pulled that up, he definitely saw, okay, she thinks she's an activist. We think she's crazy. So, we might have to Baker Act her, right? I'm sure that was their sentiment. So I'm pretty sure he never went to check. And he just took the word that was him. And I heard his mom's voice. So prior to them going in, I said, when I was last here, she said he got paper to go to court to get on child support. I said, well, I've never filled out any paperwork for him to go to court, so I don't know how that could be, right? But now that I'm thinking about it, my brother, my two sisters, they think they're very intelligent and they know how to run other people's lives, even though their lives are constantly a shamble. They might have gotten like a power of attorney over me and sent a doppelganger or a double, a person committing fraud, pretending to be me, and they may even be going to court right now with a person that is not me. So I'm going to go to the Attorney General's website and file some complaints and go back to the court and see if in fact that is happening. I have been consistently just trying to reveal the fraud that's been taking place in my life with my family, and it's really difficult because here in the 13th Judicial Circuit, because of my prior acts of activism, they really just want me to kind of shut up because this system is in shambles. And when you point it out, instead of them saying thank you and firing the people that are wrong and creating some kind of like mystery shopper in the system so that people can, be treated fairly, they're like angry with you that you pointed it out. So I'm thankful to be stepping into my new year with a new attitude. I'm not going to take people's BS. I'm no longer allowing people to just push me over. As I left there the second time, I shook the dust from my feet. I told Abraham, get your own place. Come get your daughter and hang out with her. But your mama do stuff behind the scenes. When your daughter was 5 years old and we got the papers back that said she was 99 point whatever yours, and I brought her there, your mom took her in the back room, talked to her, and put some kind of stone around her neck on a piece of ribbon. You asked me if you could put insurance on my daughter. I said, well, the function of insurance, no, I'm going to try to give it to you exactly the way it happened. I said, well, why does she need insurance? And he said, well, you can pull money out and use it like a bank account. And I said, she could save the money for college. The money could be used for college. I said, yeah, but they already have the prepaid college fund. At that time, they had the prepaid college fund. But you can still do a college fund despite the fact that there is no prepaid college fund here in Florida anymore. So then I said, well, insurance is when the breadwinner dies and it takes the place of his missing income or her missing income. What do you have planned? You plan to kill her? And he said, well, I knew you were going to think that. Well, what else is there left to think? And in this day and time when people are trying to get up in easy ways in society, in this day and time when people don't want to work, in this day and time where people have become lovers of themselves, they do these things. There are men and women who have children, insure them, and then have somebody to kill them, whether that's pay them to drive by them and hit them with a car, poison them slowly, have somebody to walk up on them and shoot them. This is happening. It's not happening to just children. It's happening to parents. It's happening to grandparents. This is the age of Aquarian, and this is like the downside, it seems to me. There are people who want to be in these groups, who want to do these sacrifices. There are people who do human trafficking to their own family members, take them out to Jamaica for a nice little time, and then, the people go to sleep, and then they don't wake up because they done drugged them, they done chopped them up, they done sold their organs, and, they put them somewhere, and they're never to be found again. This is happening, people. Now, I'm black. Y'all can tell I'm black, right? Black people. It's happening to black people. So y'all need to kind of wake up. You need to stop eating at these family gatherings. They do a lot of roots and voodoo. And I'm telling you, these Christians, and I'm using the word Christian. If you're really a Christian, you're not doing black magic. But people who go to church and say they are Christians, many of them have attachments, demonic attachments. So you need to be constantly saying, I cut cords, I return to sender all hexes, all curses. Put in your bath some salt. And if you're really a Christian, you plead the blood of Jesus over your life. And I'm just going to say that because I don't know what else to say. I don't even know if that's good advice. I think it is, though, because I am coming from under heavy spell work, and it took me a long time to figure out what was happening to my life. I kept saying, God, I am too brilliant to be broke. What is going on? What is going on? Please help me. Please help me. I'm too brilliant to be broke. As soon as things would be going well, I'd start the master's program. I would start filling out the paperwork to go to law school. I got my LS, Law School Council, application filled out. I'm filling out my application for law school. I've got my LSAT results. I didn't score very high. I think I scored like a 140, 144. Not very high, but it's high enough for me to get into somebody law school, especially if I'm going to be getting loans to pay for it. And then things just start falling apart. I kept asking, now wait a minute, how things go great and then all of a sudden go haywire? And I just kept begging of God, because that's the only thing I know to call on. I grew up African Methodist Episcopal, okay? I grew up in Allen Temple, Reverend Burroughs on Scott and Governor. I walked up to him after church and I said, hey, can I join the church? And he said, yes. And they baptized me. You can be Christian, what is wrong with my tongue? You can be Christianed, right? And I don't think I said that right, but I'm walking and talking and trying to make sure that I'm safe. It's almost a full moon. Ordinarily, I would not be out in the world as the moon is getting full. But the inverter broke, and my children, they cannot live without their internet. I never intended for that to be, but it's that way. So I'm out trying to get an inverter. I saw one at the pawn shop. It's like $60 for a really big one, 1,000-watt inverter. What we have at the house is 300 watt and a 400 watt. And I just blew the 400 watt one because I touched the USB to the red battery post and it went out. So we're not going to make it through the night. And I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe give them some melatonin so they can sleep through the night and I can deal with this problem tomorrow. So I guess the good that came from it is I was able to touch bases with Abraham and find out that he's in the same temperament as his mother, and maybe there hasn't been a lot of spiritual growth. I do pray for him occasionally, not as much as I used to, because when people start showing me that they don't support me and they don't care about me, I usually just shake the dust, and I use that extra time praying for myself. I smell barbecue. Do I smell barbecue smoke over here? Okay, I'm not going to try to track down some barbecue. I'm hungry, though. Maybe I will. Let me finish this note and end this. So, I believe with all my heart, mind, body, and soul that several people have been doing spell work against my life. I would have been an Olympian sprinter. I'm an extremist. I'm born on the cusp of revolution. I'm both Sag and Scorpio, and I'm an extremist. So I rarely half do anything. If I do it to an extreme. But I've had people to be pulling my energy away from my life to their life so that they could be big upped. So I said all those things to say to you people, all people, when you feel an uneasiness about something you're going to eat, something you're going to wear, leave that shit alone. I don't care how new it look, how pretty it is, how expensive it is. Your life is far more important than anything anybody can give you. And that goes for money too. People giving you money, because a lot of times there's these unspoken agreements that come with gifts. So I'm closing this note out. I had to do an injunction against my brother, who is quite the bully, but because he has a construction business and, he is a part of churches and other organizations, and, he presents himself in the manner that people respond to positively. They believe that he's just a great person. When you tell people the things that he's done against you, they don't believe it, or they say, oh, there must be a reason that's righteous, a reason that is decent in their eyes. And so I'm dealing with that. My mom, Dorothy Atkins, and Arthur Atkins left 6 pieces of property, and he has taken and sold and stole pretty much all of them. And to him, that's okay. He had me, my 4 children, and my nephew evicted from 6010 North 32nd Street, Tampa, Florida. And I just divorced them. I was already sick of, them constantly putting down my naturopathic way of life. I want to live as an indigenous person. I want to grow my own food, make my own clothes, make my children's shoes, create my own curriculum, which I am in the middle of doing. And I want to be like a one girl. I want to do everything for myself, be the beautician and everything. And it's been hard going because I have very little support, but I am so proud of myself and my children. We have been struggling to become an army and a nation of one. And it's really odd. Sometimes I walk around bare feet and I'm practicing foot reflexology. According to my sensei, when you walk on uneven surfaces, it breaks up the crystals in the bottom of your feet. I massage my feet, I massage my hands, and sometimes I'll take a bath and I won't put on lotion and I'm ashy, and people are like, oh, look at her, she's ashy. But it's like, listen, you don't know the condition of your body if you're always putting some topical crap on it. And I try not to use deodorant. So if I get on the bus and I smell a little funky, they're like, ooh, she stinks. But listen, you don't even practice cleaning yourself out. We used to have to take castor oil pretty much on a weekly basis. Saturday or Sunday, they would give it to us, and we had to clean ourselves out. Most black families don't even practice that anymore. So can you imagine having a garbage can in your kitchen that you haven't cleaned out for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And that's what most of you nasty people are. You just funky trash cans. So I am constantly taking in something, whether it's Cascara sagrada, senna, psyllium husk, aloe vera. Every now and then I'll do castor oil. I find it really difficult to swallow and very, very aggressive. as well as that citrate of magnesium. That is violent, and I feel like you could literally burst a blood vessel trying to pass that. So that's just too dangerous. I know I've been poisoned, and I'm pretty sure by family members, because it was the people in the house. That was the people that could get to the food, the people that could get to the water cooler. And according to my godfather, who I also had to divorce, John Waldron, and wait a minute, while I'm saying divorce, when I say divorce, I mean like I don't deal with anymore. There may be a fraudulent marriage with my name attached to it. I didn't marry anybody. So whoever did this marriage with me, that was another bit of fraud. And that's how I believe they were able to remove me from the will, remove me from the property. My fraudulent husband did these things. So I'm still trying to figure out how to regain my life. And it's about 30 to 50 people who have worked together over the last 3 years to dismantle my existence. And these doppelgangers that have been collecting my money and the inheritance that my dad left me, the inheritance that Irene Scarborough, I'm sure my grandmother left me. And when I was on my show, Reality Speaks, many people said that they were going to leave something to me so that I can continue my activism. And these people were old people. They understand how hard it is to be an activist, because once you upset your government, they blacklist you. So you think you're going to get a good job, but really you're not. You go to work as a substitute teacher and they find problems. They pick and pluck with you until you're out of the system. And then where are you? Working for People Ready, Liberty Staffing, $10 an hour. You're out of the house 16 hours a day and you end up with a $60 paycheck. And so because I was never able to form a core of people who would pay, let's say, $20 a month so that I could open up an office, pay myself some money, or at least sustain the office, and I could live in the office if need be. When it's time for you to have somebody to come and speak on your behalf, if you can't afford an attorney, you're screwed. And many times when you can afford an attorney, attorneys try to get you to do what? Cop a plea for the most time. Rarely want to actually take it to trial. That's how my twins were taken from me in this 13th Judicial Circuit Court. And I couldn't find one attorney that wanted to actually go to trial, that wanted to say, no, we're not settling for that. No, this is wrong. No, her wanting a lotus birth and talking to her children in her belly does not make her a paranoid schizophrenic. This is a wrong diagnosis. NOS. What did they diagnose me with? NOS, not otherwise specified. So the doctors were dead wrong. And how did they cover themselves? By calling me crazy. And pretty much everybody went along with it. My mom, she was a very scary person, afraid of white people. That's what it seemed like to me. My siblings, well, I'm going to say my brother in particular, I couldn't tell what Ava's temperament or Alva. Ava said she didn't do anything wrong, but she didn't break her neck to try to stand up for me. Every time she's had a problem and she brought it to me, I stood up for her. I went and actively did things to save her. You understand me? But I didn't get that kind of response from my family. Only Arthur Atkins came to court with me one time. I was before Nick Nazaritan. Let me see, what was his first name? I can't remember. But I'm getting off course. That was another injustice. But my dad came and said, how the hell can you be trespassing when you are in the store buying ice cream? That's all I went to get. And I was trying to help a lady that was in distress. And when it was time for her to come to court and help me, she was scared. So she said she wasn't coming. And I had to stop and question myself about this activism crap. I'm like, this is a thankless job right here. These people seem like they're trying to hurt me. And I'm talking about law enforcement. And this was way back, I'm going to say like 99 to 2005 maybe, because after they took the twins, I was really lit. And after my parasympathetic system calmed down, I said, this activism is a thankless job, and I just need to find something else to do. I really should have went to law school back then instead of becoming an activist, but I'm going to tell you why I don't regret it. If I would have became a lawyer, I would have continued to be a very arrogant person, thinking that life is easy, because life was easy for me until they started doing this black magic against me, and people started pulling my energy away from me to their lives so that they could benefit off of my good karma. Everything came easy to me. Everything came easy to me. And then I started linking up with people who knew the craft, and I was clueless. And I'm talking about women. Don't put your pads and tampons in no damn trash can. You take that, you put it in something, and you take it, put some rocks in there, and you take it to the river and throw it in the river. Because I'm telling you, your own people. Don't lay around with your head uncovered. They will cut your hair. I had beautiful long hair, but I never covered it at night. I left it uncovered. And now my hair is barely to my neck. So that is 8 inches of hair that's gone for sure. I don't know what's going to happen from this moment to the next. So I'm saying everything that comes to my heart and mind. After I began to get into the activism, and I had to leave my professional position at the University of South Florida as the coordinator of parent involvement under the Delegate 3 University Head Start program, I wanted to come home and become a homekeeper. I was watching Arlene Rippey and listening to Elizabeth Elliot, and I really wanted to come home and take care of my child. I only had one at the time. There's a 15-year gap between my first child and the second set of twins, the second birth, which was a set of twins, and then the system took those children from me at 3 days old. I found out that my family and fake friends, Natalie, Renee Carnegie, Albert Clayton, helped that to happen. And maybe my sensei, Joseph Clarence Washington Jr., and maybe Letitia Karima Penn. I don't know. I'm still praying and asking God to give me evidence of that. But I know Natalie was working against me, and I believe my youngest sister Ava was working against me. In all truthfulness, I know Anthony was working against me. I know my grandmother Irene Scarborough worked against me. And I just thought that all things were possible through Christ that would strengthen me. And so when they kept going, I presented my case about Lotus birth and why I wanted them to leave the placentas unclamped. And I wanted my babies to get all of their blood, because essential oxygen and other nutrients travel in the blood, and the body has a system for stopping off blood. Like if the baby doesn't need any more blood, the body has a way of stopping it. The Wharton's jelly is going to form, and the rest of the excess blood is going to remain in the placenta. God already designed a system for you to have too much blood in case something happens. You'll have more than enough. And then he created a system where the blood will stop flowing from the placenta into the child if need be. And I wanted my placentas, but they came in that hospital room at Morton Plant Meats Hospital, Clearwater, Florida, which was supposed to be the best state-of-the-art natural birthing place, right? They came in there and they took my placentas. Now I had 2 placentas. Why would they take them? They used that blood from that placenta for harvesting more blood. And there's no telling what they're doing to babies inside of those little nurseries. So I didn't want my baby in the nursery. I said my babies need to stay with me all the time. They've been with me all the time in my womb. Now they're outside of the womb, and you want to put them down, round, or in the corner and all of that. That's because you want to take shit from them, as far as I'm concerned. And mostly their blood. That's if the truth were to be told, They are using blood from aborted babies and live babies. That's how they are doing the harvesting. Now they have a great supply, so I don't think they need it too much anymore. But I still believe that they use hospitals as a way to make sacrifices too. Your baby comes up dead. You don't know what happened to your baby. But why was your baby away from you in the first place? If you're a breastfeeding mom, and everybody should breastfeed at least for the first 3 days so that that baby can get the colostrum, which it's a natural vaccination. The vaccinations that you have within your system are traveled through to the baby from the breast milk. So at least the first 3 days. And they tell you, pump and dump if you're on medicine. In my opinion, it would be better for you to give that baby that milk with the colostrum and the medicine, as opposed to you not having, I don't need it, as opposed to you giving that baby some, liquid form of milk. I would even prefer you buy breast milk from other mothers if you can't produce enough, or you're stressed out and you're taking medication that's so toxic that you can't give your breast milk to your baby. I would prefer you buy breast milk from another lady than giving your baby that weird stuff in those canisters. And you really should do that at least until the baby's 3 months old. I mean, my goodness, give the children a fighting chance. So I've said a lot of things, and I've kind of cut points just to get to say other things. Aileen Dorothea Atkins, born November 24th, 1970. That's what they told me. At St. Joseph Hospital, 7 months old, premature. Let's see. In the NICU, I stayed in an incubator for quite some time, as one of the most brilliant, intelligent people you're ever going to meet. The fact that these people are calling me crazy, I have learned to wear it as a badge of honor, because they understand that there is something very different between them and me. And there is something very different. I work really, really, really hard to be in tune with nature, to be in tune with the creator of this fine universe, or the creators of this fine universe. I work really, really hard to be in tune with the medunetters. And I am